Welcome to Digital Photography 101. This is part 3. In part 1, we discussed some basic settings on the camera. In addition to ISO, in part 2, we discussed aperture and shutter speed. Now, after setting our ISO based on the amount of light, setting our shutter speed based on our subject, and based on what we want to show, and finally, after setting our aperture based on the depth of field we desire, let's talk about taking the photographs. Photography is all about light. Even before looking through the viewfinder, see the light. How different would this photo look if taken at a different time of day? Be aware of the golden hour. This is either just after sunrise or just before sunset. Natural light softens and has a reddish hue, especially when compared to when the sun is higher in the sky. This could take some patience. Here's an example of one photo that took patience. I sat with a tripod, perched on a rock, and took many photos, waiting for the moment when the subject became perfectly lighted by the golden hour. 4:44 p.m., 4:46, 4:47, 4:49, 4:52, 4:54, 4:55, 4:56, 5:01, 5:05, 5:07, 5:09, 5:10, 5:11, 5:12, 5:14, 5:16, 5:18. It's all done at 5:22. Be aware of shadows, colors, and patterns made by the light. Color is also important. We may choose to compose the photo using complementary colors, analogous colors, or monochromatic colors. These all have to do with the color wheel. Complementary colors are opposites on the color wheel. Like red and green, orange and blue, or yellow and violet. Analogous colors are similar and use 3 color groups next to each other on the color wheel. Like red, red-orange, and orange. Or blue, blue-green, and green. Monochromatic colors are all the tints, tones, and shades of a single hue. Think of the color samples at a paint store. So what category do these photos fit? Complementary. Monochromatic. Analogous. Complementary. Analogous. Complementary. Monochromatic. Next, let's talk about composition, the elements we want in a photo. We already have discussed using depth of field to highlight certain aspects of a photo. The rule of thirds is one interesting way to look at photo composition. Here are some examples. Let's talk a little about motion and blur. It depends what you desire as a photographer, as both effects can be interesting. Here's an example of blur. In this example, the car is in focus, but the background is out of focus. This is done by panning with a high shutter speed, like 1/1000th of a second or faster. Panning is moving the camera at the same speed of the object that we want to remain in focus. If the object is moving from left to right, the camera needs to move at that same speed from left to right. Panning takes practice. What do we do if we want the car out of focus, but another aspect of the photograph in focus? Slow down the shutter speed and decrease the aperture to cut down the amount of light that comes in. And remember our chart. Last, let's not forget that photography is art, and art is personal. Sometimes none of the rules are important. Develop your own photographic eye, and with it, your own photographic style. Now let's go shoot some photographs.